Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive into what's been happening over in Nagpur
Yeah,
over the last week or so.
right.
We've got a bunch of different sources here,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of news articles from Reuters, AP News, Hindustan Times, the Indian Express.
What's to cover?
Yeah, and even a pretty detailed incident report that I think we'll be able to get into a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
This will be a good one.
this is going to be, I think, a really fascinating look at communal violence
Mm-hmm.
that's been happening in India, and
Some of the causes.
we're gonna try to just lay out, what happened, why it matters, all that good stuff.
Totally. Yeah, I think the core of this whole issue really comes down to Aurangzeb's tomb.
Okay.
And sort of the demands from some right-wing Hindu organizations for its removal.
Okay.
Aurangzeb being this big.
Like demands to get rid of the tomb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. And he's a hugely significant figure, obviously.
Yeah, from way back.
Yeah, 17th century Mughal era.
But he's viewed negatively by some of these Hindu groups, and that's really at the heart of a lot of this tension.
Okay, so that's sort of the
That's the spark
spark that kind of kicked this all off.
that lit the fuse.
What happened after that? Like, what were the...
Well, so on March 17th,
Okay.
members of the VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad,
Okay.
and the Bajrang Dal, these are right-wing Hindu nationalist organizations.
Got it.
They staged this protest where they burned an effigy of Aurangzeb
Oh, wow.
and made these really public calls for this tomb's demolition.
So it was like a
It was a pretty intense,
bill.
there was a statement.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is how quickly things sort of went sideways from there.
Okay, how so?
Well, so after this protest, all these rumors started flying around.
Oh, no.
And specifically rumors alleging the desecration of religious items, specifically the Quran.
Wow. So
And that really acted as a catalyst.
it was like adding fuel to the fire.
Huge fuel to the fire. It just inflamed all these existing tensions.
And then what happened after?
So then we saw these clashes break out
Okay.
between Hindu and Muslim groups.
Uh-huh.
And that resulted in injuries to at least 34 police officers,
Wow.
5 civilians.
Wow, that's a lot of people hurt.
A lot of people, yeah. And there was pretty significant damage to homes and vehicles in the area.
So just like all out rioting, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Wow. So the authorities stepped in, obviously.
Yeah, they had to.
What did they do?
So they immediately imposed this indefinite curfew
Okay.
in the parts of Nagpur,
Uh-huh.
and they arrested over 50 individuals in connection with the violence.
Okay, so trying to just bring things under control.
Just contain it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a standard measure, but
But it makes sense, right?
absolutely, yeah,
You got to stop it from spreading.
for sure.
Were there any arrests that were like specifically important or...
Yeah, there was one that's pretty notable.
Okay.
On March 20th, Fahim Shamim Khan,
Okay.
who is a local leader from the Minorities Democratic Party, or MDP. He was arrested, and he's actually alleged to be the mastermind behind the violence.
Wow. Okay.
He's facing some pretty serious charges, including sedition, along with 6 other people.
So like inciting a riot, basically.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, sedition's pretty serious.
Yeah.
It relates to actions or speech that are intended to incite rebellion against the state.
So like a big deal.
Huge. Yeah.
Wow. And so that's obviously a signal that the authorities are not...
They're not messing around.
Yeah, they're taking this seriously.
Taking it very seriously, yeah.
What else did they do?
So, on top of all that, the Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI,
Okay.
they actually got involved and they reinforced Aurangzeb's tomb.
Oh, wow.
They put up tin sheets all around it.
So they were basically trying to
Protect it
protect
from
it.
being a further,
Huh.
point of contention or a target
Yeah.
for further action.
I see. So they're trying to contain it, but also protect the site.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fascinating how this historical site
Yeah.
became this focal point
For this whole thing.
for managing the fallout of all of this.
And what about the political response, like from larger...
So the Maharashtra Congress,
Mm-hmm.
they established a panel to assess the situation on the ground
Okay.
and provide assistance to those who were affected by the violence.
So they're stepping in as well.
Exactly. And it's interesting how these local incidents
Yeah.
quickly take on these bigger political dimensions
Of course. Yeah.
and provoke responses from these larger political bodies.
It goes all the way up.
It ripples outward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the situation like now in Nagpur? Like, is it...
So as of yesterday, actually March 21st,
Okay.
the curfew has been partially lifted.
Okay.
But the authorities are still maintaining a really strong presence there.
Makes sense.
and continuing to monitor the situation very closely just to try to make sure things stay stable.
Keep it under control.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So just to kind of recap quickly, we saw this demand
Right.
regarding this historical figure's tomb.
Yeah.
And then it was amplified by these rumors.
Exactly.
And then that led to this violence and then all this different response from law enforcement and heritage authorities and political groups.
Multi-pronged.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these historical narratives and symbols get so powerfully intertwined with contemporary social tensions.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about why this centuries-old tomb became such a flashpoint. And, what does that response tell us about how societies are trying to navigate all these issues?
Definitely something to think about.
For sure.
Well, we've included links to all the news reports.
Yeah, check them out.
If you want to check them out. And, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into what's happening in Nagpur.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.